Talk a little bit about life care plans. You accept a case where someone's been injured. That injury could be a non-catastrophic case. That injury could be a catastrophic case. You now get medical records galore coming across your desk. What do you do with them? We can help you with that. We can help you with a records review to issue spot what's going on in the medical records, what the medical condition is, what the treatment plan is, what complications are, what the outcomes are. We can also share concerns with you, concerns that we see in the records. Is this person attending therapy? Is the doctor concerned about the outcome of the surgery? Is another surgery coming up? Can they not afford their medications? We can outline those concerns for you. We can also create next steps. What are you going to do next on the case? The ultimate goal is to push the case towards a medical damages report. That would be a cost projection or a life care plan. Cost projections can come at any time of the case. We can take a look at medical records, figure out future medical care and the cost at any point in time in the case. But let's talk about the big report, the true expert witness report, which is the life care plan. A life care plan is a detailed report that you're going to use to document and outline and share with the judge and jury about future medical care, i.e. medical damages. We can help you with that. A life care plan is a medical damages report. You have to be able to show the judge, the jury, and even the opposing side what future medical care is going to be, how much it's going to be. We can help you with that. We're going to bring decades of experience, training, and knowledge to the table. A life care plan is a very detailed, systematic process. Why is that? We are licensed, we're credentialed life care planners. Majority of the time, life care plans are going to be used as an expert witness case. When we qualify as expert witnesses, we have to be very detailed, systematic process to be able to qualify as an expert witness. If we don't follow that detailed, systematic process, then we're going to run the risk of being disqualified, and that's ultimately going to affect your case. What are the steps of the life care plan process? We review the records in detail. We also review the medical bills. We conduct assessments, most of the time in home, to figure out what's going on with that client. We're going to talk with the providers, understand what the issues and concerns are long term. What we want to do is create a team approach between the life care planner and the providers and create a plan of care based on what the provider's concerns are. Then we're going to do some in-depth research, pull in information, issues that may occur down the road, and then also research what the costs are going to be. A life care plan is going to answer in detail what do they got, a medical condition, what do they need, future care, why do they need it, how often, how long do they need it, and how much it's going to cost. What you're going to see in a life care plan, recommendations such as medical appointments, hospitalizations, surgeries, procedures. You can also see diagnostic studies, x-rays, MRIs, physical therapy, occupational therapy, medications. You could also see in a life care plan report medical supplies, durable medical equipment, home care. One of the most expensive items in a life care plan is home care. When we talk with attorneys, what we understand, medical damages are extremely important on the case. Let's face it, both sides, plaintiff and defense, medical damages equals money. How do you as an attorney figure out what the medical damages are going to be on the case? Sometimes those medical damages are astronomical. That may be the largest category of money on the table. So how we, FIG, can help you is determine the accurate medical damages on that case. The last thing we want to do is have an overfunded or underfunded case. You need accurate medical damages. How do you determine accurate medical damages? You bring knowledge and wealth of information to the table. We can do that. FIG brings decades of skills, knowledge, training, and experience to the table to be able to accurately project medical damages. At FIG, we are medical damages experts. That's what we specialize in and day out. Not only do we practice medical damages, but we teach medical damages. We're one of the few companies in this industry that we practice what we teach. Having decades of experience, working on thousands of cases over the year, having reviewed millions of medical records and millions of medical bills, we understand the importance of accurately determining medical damages. We review the records, assess the client, oftentimes in the home, speak with the providers, research medical conditions, research the cost. We bring to the table a wealth and knowledge of information. We can figure out what kind of care is needed on this particular case, what kind of complications are going to occur down the road. We're not talking about today, we're talking about 5, 10, 15, 50 years from now. What's going to happen to your case? How do you accurately project medical damages? We can tell you how, because we do this day in and day out. It's the training and the knowledge that we bring over 20 plus years to the table to work on your case. How do you know if you need a life care plan? Good question. We recommend life care plans on cases that are going to jury trials, cases where someone is injured or ill. There's going to be future medical care decided in the settlement or the jury award. You're going to need an expert witness to come in and deposition and trial. We recommend that that expert witness report be a life care plan. A life care plan is a very detailed process. There are published standards of care, there are credentials, there are licenses that we all have to adhere to. What does that mean to you? That means that we are credible expert witnesses. So during the initial phone conversation, what we're going to ask you is, if this case doesn't settle in mediation and the case goes to a jury trial, do you intend to bring us to trial to testify? And if your answer is yes, then we're going to recommend a life care plan as an expert witness. We want to be prepared out of the gate to come and testify in deposition and trial on the medical damages of your case. The timing for a life care plan referral should be at medical stability. That's when the client is nearing the end of their medical care. They've plateaued in their recovery. The doctor is nearing discharge or saying, come back and see me PRN. That's the prime time for a life care plan referral. Typically it takes at least 8 weeks to complete a life care plan. When you're looking at medical records and you see the physician documenting this person has plateaued in their medical recovery, the doctor's now talking about discharge or coming back and seeing the doctor PRN. At that point, that should trigger, let's contact FIG for a life care plan. We know that there's exceptions to the rules. Sometimes there are court deadlines that are not going to allow you to wait until medical stability for a life care plan referral. The court deadline's approaching, this person is still in the hospital, could be rehabilitation in the rehab facility or at home. We can still do life care plans. Those life care plans, that approach is a little bit different. What we'll do is take best case, worst case scenario. At this point, it's a little bit more challenging to predict the outcome because they're still in their medical recovery. So we look at a best case, worst case scenario in that report. We can still meet those court deadlines, but we could give a preliminary report outlining the best case and worst case scenarios. It takes an average of 8 weeks to complete a life care plan. The more complicated the case, the more medical records that we have to review. The 8 weeks will increase. Sometimes it may take up to about 12 weeks. It all kind of depends on what the timeline is and how quickly we can access all of the medical records, complete the home assessment, and speak with the physicians. In the referral process, we're going to give you a checklist of records that we would like to see in the beginning of the life care plan referral. What we would like to see are all of the records and all of the bills. This gives us a very detailed picture of what the client's medical condition was, what their treatment plan was, any outcomes or complications, and what the recommendations are being made by the physicians. So we're going to request all medical records and all medical bills. We'd like these in electronic form as early and as soon as possible. That allows us to get a jump start on the review of records before we go into the home and assess the client. There may be times when we review the records that we'll come back and request supplemental or additional records. Also, after the home visit, there may be times where the client tells us, I've been referred to this doctor, I saw that doctor. These aren't records that we have, so we could also come back at that point and request additional records. It's better to have all the records and all the bills in front of us to be able to review, because let's face it, opposing counsel is going to ask us, have you reviewed all of the records and the bills? And we'd like to say yes. So what happens if you go rogue on a case and figure out the medical damages yourself? That's a really scary situation. I've seen situations where attorneys will underestimate or overestimate the medical damages. It just really muddies the water when you come into a mediation or to a jury trial. In my opinion, you're putting yourself at risk of a liability and not doing due diligence to your client by having an expert come in and determining accurate medical damages. It could really come back to bite you. I've seen examples where attorneys will use what I call a crackerjack medical assessment. You just kind of reach into the box, you pull out a number, not really safe. There are computer systems out there where you can input a medical diagnosis, you can input the age of your client, pay a couple $100 and spit out a medical damages report. That's scary. You have to remember that each case is individual. We bring our knowledge and experience to the table by reviewing the records, understanding the medical conditions. You're going to get a true, accurate medical damages report from FIG. Situations where one medication can make or break a medical damages report. Let's say, for example, this medication is $3 per month. Not having accurate information via the medical records will make or break a damages report. We've seen computerized systems that don't review records. You just put in a medical diagnosis, the age of the individual, and out spits a medical damages report. I actually had an opportunity to take that medical damages report, lay it side by side with an FIG medical cost projection. That automated computerized medical damages report recommended $30,000 on the case. But when we reviewed just a few records and determined the medications that this person was on and will need to be on for the rest of their life, we projected $300,000 in a medical cost projection on the same exact case. FIG is 100% made in the USA. All of our life care planners, all of our staff sit right here in the United States. You're going to speak to someone who is licensed, credentialed, trained, and familiar with this industry. We review medical records. We understand what the patterns of care are, the treatment recommendations. We have the knowledge to interpret that information. We also understand the United States law. We understand the difference between the facts, the laws, and the strategies. That's what we bring to the table. We also reach out to the providers and the client, speak to them, understand the culture, understand the family dynamics, and we're able to take that to the jury and explain to the jury in layman terms what the issues are in this case. Let's face it, we are medical damages experts in the United States. Sure, you can go get a records review, a chronology, and nowadays you can even get a medical damages report from a third world country. But what you're not getting is an accurate medical damages report. The dangers of utilizing a foreign created medical damages report, this isn't well accepted in our court system. What we have found in reviewing foreign-based medical chronologies, summaries, treatment plans, and even cost projections, what we have found is that they're not accurate. Not all of the records are reviewed and detailed. If the records are reviewed, the records are interpreted incorrectly. The concerns and the issues in the medical records are not identified, and there certainly aren't recommendations of what to do next. What we've seen is just a regurgitation of the records and not critical thinking. We also don't see the understanding of the culture, the family dynamics that play a huge part in being a medical damages expert. Not only do we write reports outlining medical damages reports, but we're expected to go in and testify in a deposition and in trial. We have to understand what the United States laws are, what the strategies are used, offense and defense in depositions. We also need to understand who the jury is, where the jury's coming from, and how are we going to relate to that jury. We can do that. Most of the time what happens is these foreign-based reports are used behind the scenes on a consulting basis. You pay money to have these reports created, but you can only use them behind the scenes. What's going to happen is then you're going to have to turn around and hire an expert, us as a life care planner, to come in and testify. That's going to create more time and more money for you. Why not be proactive, retain FIG in the beginning for a records review, let's issue spot, let's identify the concerns, and figure out the next steps on the case to ultimately create the medical damages report. Having been in the records, having understand the case, we now can flip a records review or a medical cost projection into a life care plan and be ready for deposition and trial, all in the USA.